The man who would become Kang the Conqueror wasn't born in a time of chaos. He was born in a time of peace. His name was Nathaniel Richards, and his origin lies in the 31st century. A world healed, a world rebuilt, a world where technology erased disease, poverty, and war. Humanity had reached an age of near perfection. But perfection comes with a price. For in that peace, Nathaniel grew restless. And in his hands, he held knowledge that no man should ever hold. Nathaniel Richards wasn't just anyone. He carried the bloodline of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic himself. But even more importantly, some say he also shared ties with Dr. Doom. Imagine it. The brilliance of Reed, the ruthlessness of Doom, all converging in one mind. And that mind discovered something deadly. Buried in the ruins of old was a piece of forgotten technology. A time machine, a gift, or a curse, left behind by the very ancestors who fought to save the multiverse. Nathaniel unlocked it. And in doing so, he unlocked his future. At first, he didn't become a conqueror. He became a dreamer. He traveled back to ancient Egypt, where he reinvented himself as Pharaoh Rama-Tut. To the people of that time, he was a god. He ruled with knowledge centuries beyond their reach. But his reign didn't last. Because the heroes of the Marvel Universe, the Fantastic Four, shattered his empire, forcing Nathaniel to flee. But he didn't flee in shame. He fled with ambition. Because now he realized something terrifying. If time could be bent once, it could be bent again. From Rama-Tut, Nathaniel became something new. The Scarlet Centurion. Clad in crimson armor, he sought to bring order through domination. But again, he was defeated, this time by the Avengers. And yet, every defeat only sharpened him. Every setback taught him more about the infinite web of time. Until finally, Nathaniel shed all past identities. And he became Kang the Conqueror. Not a king of one era. Not a ruler of one world. But a tyrant of all history. Kang wasn't like any other villain. He didn't strike once and retreat. He didn't have one plan, one army, one base. Kang had infinite selves. Each one ruling a different timeline. Each one fighting to prove they were the true Kang. And that made him unstoppable. One Kang could be defeated. But how do you kill a man who exists in every era, every century, every corner of the multiverse? This was the true terror of Kang. Not his strength. Not his armor. Not his armies. But his inevitability. And yet, behind the mask, Nathaniel Richards still lingered. The boy from a perfect future. The dreamer who could have saved worlds instead of conquering them. But destiny had been sealed. Nathaniel Richards was gone. And in his place stood Kang the Conqueror. And his war across time was only beginning. When Kang the Conqueror set his eyes on the past, the present, and the future, the Marvel Universe would never be the same again. Because Kang didn't just attack cities. He didn't just invade planets. He went after entire eras. One of Kang's earliest clashes with the Avengers set the tone for everything that followed. When he first descended upon the 20th century, he didn't come with a single army. He came with a legion from the future. Weapons centuries ahead of Tony Stark. Strategies that even Captain America struggled to counter. And a mind that always seemed 10 steps ahead. Kang declared himself ruler of Earth. And for a moment, it looked like he would succeed. But the Avengers did what they always do. They fought. They adapted. They refused to bow. Kang was defeated again. But here's the chilling truth. That was just one Kang. Because for every battle Kang lost, another version of him was plotting the next. And soon, the multiverse began to realize a horrifying reality. There was no one Kang. There were thousands. From this chaos emerged the Council of Kangs. A coalition of his own variants, united in conquest, but divided in ego. Each one believed themselves superior. Each one wanted to prove they were the true conqueror. This council wasn't just a gathering of tyrants. It was a war with no end. Because when conquerors fight conquerors, timelines burn. But Kang wasn't content to merely battle himself. He turned his eyes toward one thing no man should ever control, the heart of time itself. He built fortresses outside of reality. Sanctuaries where time flowed differently. Places where he could regroup, rearm, and strike again from another angle. And perhaps his most famous fortress was Chronopolis. A city that existed across every century at once. A citadel beyond imagination. From Chronopolis, Kang could strike any era, any world, any timeline, instantly. The Avengers could fight him today, only to face him tomorrow, 100 years earlier. How do you fight an enemy who exists everywhere at once? And yet, amidst this chaos, Kang revealed something few expected. He wasn't entirely heartless. Because even a conqueror can fall in love. Her name was Ravana, a princess from the future. One of the rare souls Kang could never truly conquer. Their love was twisted, built on obsession, betrayal, sacrifice, and tragedy. At times, Ravana stood by him. At times, she defied him. But no matter what, she became the closest thing Kang had to a weakness. And when she fell, when she was killed in battle, Kang did the unthinkable. He tried to rewrite time to bring her back. But time has rules. And even the conqueror couldn't always bend them. For every Ravana he saved, another was lost. For every moment of triumph, there was tragedy. This became Kang's curse. He could rewrite history. He could bend reality. But he could never escape the emptiness inside. And that emptiness made him more dangerous than ever. Kang's legacy spread far beyond the Avengers. He battled the Fantastic Four. He clashed with Spider-Man. He even fought the X-Men. Every corner of Marvel felt his touch. Every hero knew his name. And yet, for all his victories, for all his battles, one truth haunted Kang. The more he conquered, the less he could hold. Because time is a river. And no matter how many dams you build, it always finds a way to break through. And so Kang's story was never just about war. It was about obsession. It was about control. It was about a man who tried to master destiny, and in doing so, may have doomed himself. But if you think this is where Kang's story ends, think again. Because the greatest battles were yet to come. And they wouldn't just shake Earth. They would shake all of eternity. For centuries, Kang was a conqueror without equal. But in the Marvel Universe, no story stays still forever. And Kang's path led to something far more terrifying than war. It led to destiny. Kang's greatest fear wasn't the Avengers. It wasn't even death. It was irrelevance. Because no matter how many battles he won, time always corrected itself. Heroes always found a way. And Kang began to wonder, was he really in control? Or was he just another pawn in the game of fate? That's when Kang discovered the truth. The multiverse wasn't infinite chaos. It was a design. A web of realities, constantly colliding, constantly reshaping. And at the center of that web was himself. Variants. Echoes. Infinite Kangs, each one carving their own destiny. The Council of Kangs had already shown him glimpses of this nightmare. But what lay beyond was worse. A figure who ruled not with armies, but with inevitability. A Kang who had gone further than any other. A being known as Immortus. Immortus wasn't a conqueror. He was a keeper of time. A master who sought not to rule the universe, but to preserve it. And to Kang, this was worse than death. Because where Kang burned, Immortus maintained. Where Kang fought, Immortus accepted. In Immortus, Kang saw his own future. A destiny he hated. A destiny he swore he would never become. But here's the paradox. The harder Kang fought to resist that fate, the closer he came to it. The battle between Kang and Immortus wasn't fought with fists alone. It was a war of philosophy. Kang wanted freedom. Immortus wanted order. Kang wanted conquest. Immortus wanted preservation. And caught in the middle of this struggle was the multiverse itself. But then came the event that shattered everything. Avengers Forever. In this epic saga, Kang sought to escape his destiny once and for all. He allied himself with Earth's mightiest heroes, not as a trick, but as a necessity. Because Immortus had grown too powerful, and if he wasn't stopped, free will itself could be destroyed. Imagine that. The Avengers, side by side with their greatest enemy, fighting the man he would one day become. The battle stretched across timelines. Avengers plucked from different eras joined forces. And Kang stood in their ranks, not as a conqueror, but as a man desperate to be free. For once, Kang wasn't seeking to rule. He was seeking to live. And when the dust settled, when the war was done, something unthinkable happened. Kang survived. Immortus was beaten back. And destiny shifted. But even then, Kang's story wasn't over. Because no matter what he did, no matter how far he ran, fate always circled back. And this is where the Marvel Universe leaves us with a question. Is Kang doomed to always become a mortis? Or can he break the cycle forever? In modern comics, we've seen him reinvent himself again and again. Sometimes as a young hero, like Iron Lad of the Young Avengers. Sometimes as the eternal tyrant. Sometimes as a father, desperate to protect his own bloodline from repeating his mistakes. But no matter the form, Kang's shadow always looms. And here's the chilling part. Unlike most villains, Kang doesn't need to win today. Because he can win tomorrow. Or yesterday. Or in a century none of us will ever see. That's the terror of Kang the Conqueror. You can stop him once. You can stop him 1,000 times. But as long as time exists, so does Kang. Which brings us back to the present. The MCU has already planted the seeds of his rise. We've seen He Who Remains. We've seen Kang the Conqueror. And if Marvel Studios follows the path of the comics, then the Avengers aren't just fighting one man. They're fighting destiny itself. Kang's story is more than a tale of war. It's a question. One we're still asking today. Can you ever escape the future? Or are we all just marching toward the roles time has already written? For Kang, the answer has yet to be decided. But one thing is certain. The next time the Avengers face him, it won't just be for the world. It'll be for eternity.